Welcome back to the channel, Red Devils. It's Thursday, 30th April 2026. We are live, breaking the biggest managerial story at Old Trafford right now. Manchester United apparently looking and potentially favoring Andoni Iraola over Mr. Michael Carrick for the Manchester United job. A lot of stuff has emerged. Some in favor of Iraola, and then some still positioning Michael Carrick as the front runner and the favorite. Manchester United are seriously considering Bournemouth boss Andoni Iraola as the next permanent head coach, and he has just emerged as the strongest rival to club legend Michael Carrick. Is this INEOS' shock reset plan, or are they about to overlook the man who has turned this season around? And we're going to go deep on both today. The latest reports, what each man brings, the potential Bournemouth raid, and what it means for next season. Drop your verdict in the chat right now. Iraola, Carrick, let us know what you think, what you feel. We also got, just a ton of sort of transfer updates, stories, rumors, news, literally tons of players, different players. Some of the same characters, of course, they're not going anywhere, like Elliot Anderson and Baleba and co. But there's some other ones who are being loosely talked about. So we're going to get into that as well. It's going to be a good show. Hope everybody is doing well. Please make sure you're smashing the like button because it's super important to the channel and to the video and to the live. So support us there. You guys always do a great job of that. Hope everybody's doing well. We haven't been live for the past couple of days. I know some things have happened. I know Kobe Mainu has signed a new contract. I think we're all happy with that, yes. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's gotten 150,000 pounds a week, which I'm okay with. I think maybe there's probably a few people that maybe weren't a bit too happy with that, or said maybe we possibly could have got it cheaper. But I think we're good. So, shout out to the chat. Lyle's here. What's up, bro? Lyle just comes in. Member for 4 months, RDE VIP section. What a way to start off the show. Renoso is here. Mr. Brown Knight said, what did I miss? You missed nothing, bro. You missed nothing. You're right on time. We're ready to go. It's Thursday. I'm feeling good. Hope everybody's good. United Keys is in here. Axe is in here. Axe started off... here we go. Axe started off by saying, I don't know why you put that stupid face there. I don't even know who the heck that loser is, but I definitely don't want him at United. Listen, broski, you're exposing your own incompetence here, okay? If you don't know who Iraola is, you're so far behind the rest of us and the conversation, I can't help you, bro. You got to use Google or AI. Go talk to an AI buddy. He'll help you out, all right? United Keys said Iraola has a good, exciting style of football that would suit United, but would he be able to handle the magnitude of the job that is United? I'm not so sure. You know what? It's a fair comment. And I'm kind of the same way. Like, I do like the philosophy behind his football. He plays attacking, dynamic, very expressive football. They play at Bournemouth their own style. They don't really change a lot. They do change sometimes, but for the most part, when they can, they try their best to, play their identity and not conform so much and be, in my opinion, so afraid of what the opposition is going to do. And they do really have a go at teams, listen, when they came and we were home, they didn't shy away from their football and say, well, we're playing United at home, we got to go more defensive. They came out full blitz attack, playing their brand of football versus our brand of football. It was a very open and exciting game. It was 4-4, back and forth. I do like his style of football. Lyle has also gifted 5 Red Devil Experience gift memberships. Lyle is absolute G, man. There's nobody like Lyle. Thank you, Lyle. You are the best. You are the best. If you got a gifted membership from Lyle, thank him. Um, Give him a shout out. Do something. But Lyle is the best, man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it very much, man. I hope you're doing good. I hope the new job is going well, and everything's good in life, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Hasib says, isn't it 135K? That's what Sully said, plus performance-based bonuses. It could be. I'm gonna be honest. This one, I didn't get the full details on. I know I'm supposed to be on top of things because I'm a presenter, and I gotta do a show. But I've been a little bit busy, so I kind of just heard bits and pieces. I saw a little bit of social media posts. It could be 135K plus performance-based. I heard somebody say 150K before. We'll get into it a little bit later. Simon's here, says, good evening to you. United should give Carrick a chance before pouncing on Iraola. Well, we're going to get into we're going to dive deep into it. Iraola or Carrick is similar risk anyway. Priority should be to improve the squad, says Hasib. Well, I think that's a good point. And I do agree to a certain level. I think it is a similar risk. I think there's slightly different risks with each guy as well, because they are slightly they're similar, but they're slightly different in in a couple different ways. So I'll get into that as well. Natasha's here, says hi Natasha, and Simon says, I don't want Iraola turning into another Amorim with his style. We have got so used to Carrick, he is giving us Champions League football. Well, listen, you guys are all making some very good, valid points. Very, very good, valid points so far. Hasib says also, Buwadi links, and I have been saying about him in your chat for time. Please, INEOS, it's a Euro type sign. You have been saying for time, and I did see that update, and we will get to that, I do promise. Because I did see that link, and he was one of the people that I was talking about. So, but let's do the manager thing. We'll do for the first half hour of the show or so, and then once we do our whole piece on this, we'll move on to some of the transfer stuff, and then we'll sort of freestyle it from there. And then towards the end, we can talk about what we witnessed in the UCL and some more off-topic United stuff, if you will, if you want to. Okay, but this sort of started. I mean, it didn't really start today. Obviously, this has been he's been a name that has been mentioned since, basically Ruben Amorim got sacked. He's been sort of on this list. His name has been thrown out there multiple times from multiple different journalists and different reportings and stuff. But he's always been sort of maybe a bit of a fringe option because of, how the list started off. It was Ancelotti. It was Tuchel. It was Lyle's trying to not let me do the show, man. He sent another 5 Red Devil Experience gifted memberships. Thank you, Lyle, bro. You are the best, man. You are the best. You are the best, bro. Big round of applause for Lyle. If you got one, even if you don't chat, just give Lyle a thank you, man. Just give Lyle a thank you, all right? That's real life money, okay? That's real life money. He's gifting you memberships, all right? That's real life money. Man works hard for that, all right? But we love you, Lyle. Thank you, man. But anyway, so this did start, basically back in January, okay? Obviously, when you had the list of, you say Enrique, the Ancelottis, the Tuchels, even a Nagelsmann or whatever, you see why Iraola gets pushed down further towards the list. And I think generally most people are like, listen, he's done a good job at Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a decent side to watch. They're a good team to watch. If you're just a casual, not a casual, but if you're a neutral and you're watching a game, you're like, yeah, Bournemouth, they play football. It should be a decently good match to watch. It's not going to be like haram football that we watched yesterday. Okay. And, for Bournemouth, they were sort of, at one time, he bring them up, but they were close to, relegation. He's set them in the middle of the table, and his football is entertaining. It's entertaining. It's exciting to watch. It's a little bit like, I would say the way his philosophy of football would fit Manchester United. It would fit Manchester United. That's only one aspect of the thing, though. I think like United Keys brought up, and maybe a couple of the other ones. And I got up says, I get up 44 says thanks for the membership. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. What's up? I get up. How you doing, buddy? But here's my thing. I think more like United Keys said is sort of where I lean on this. And I think even Hasib said it. Where he said there's similar risk anyway, priority. Listen, Iraola is to manage a club like Manchester United, it's a risk. He's not experienced at that level. Okay? And we don't know, we've had issues with getting people into this football club and handling the size of the football club, the pressure of the football club, meeting the demands of the football club, understanding sort of the DNA of the football club to a certain degree, and ultimately getting things done at this football club in a way that fans really get on board with. I think our fans, for the most part, our fans could be a bit crazy sometimes. They could be a bit out there. They could go off the rails. But I think generally, when we start with the new guy, when we start with the manager, I will say the fan base has done a good job of giving support and love and backing to the manager when they're new. So far every guy we've gotten in, we've at least tried to give them a year, at least, depending on how the circumstances went. But everybody usually gets behind. After that, it starts, sort of falling apart in different places. So with a guy like Iraola, personally for me, him and Carrick are a bit similar. Now, I think Iraola has a bit more experience in the Premier League than obviously Michael Carrick does. And in terms of just being a coach in general, or a manager in general, he's been doing it for a little bit longer. He's still a decently young guy, but he's been doing it a little bit longer than Carrick. Okay? He's done it in the Premier League. All right. Now Carrick, he did it at Middlesbrough. He hasn't been as long, and he's done a really good job at Manchester United. He knows Manchester United. He knows the DNA. He understands the DNA of the club. He's won everything that you can win as a player at the club. He understands us. He gets us. And coming in as interim, he's done a phenomenal job. Probably better than anybody probably thought he could have done or was going to do. So there is similar risks because they are both kind of inexperienced. I think the one thing that works for Carrick in terms of, and I've always said this, for Michael Carrick, it does help that he was a former player and is, a legend of the club and has won many things because he knows the club inside and out. He knows what it's supposed to be. And I think that does help him. I think if you take a guy like Michael Carrick with his level of experience and, the way he is as a manager or a coach, and I think if you took him from, some random club and he has no connections to Manchester United and you put him into the Manchester United job, I think he might struggle because he might be taken aback by, the hot seat, the pressure, the magnitude of the club, the scrutiny. I think Rubens mentioned something about that, and I think we've had even players and loads of people that they come to United and they don't realize the magnitude of this club. They know it's a big club, but unless you're like really in it or following it day to day, and you're like in the daily thing, like we understand it because we're fans. We know what happens. We know you make one mistake or whatever, the entire world is talking about it. We know that, Liverpool can spend 500 million after winning the Premier League and get worse, and nobody's going to talk about it. But if it was United, it'd be, the story for the next 3 years. So there is a difference there. And I just feel like, with Iraola, I like the brand of football. I'm concerned that the job would be too big for him. Would be too big for him. I don't know if he's ready to take the step from a Bournemouth to a Manchester United. Because I don't know, because I look at it and I say, well, I don't think he would. I don't think he would be ready to do it for Manchester City. I don't think he would be ready to do it for Liverpool. I don't think he would be ready to do it for Arsenal. I think he needs to go to. There's probably another club in between there. Maybe a Villa, maybe a Newcastle in between the Uniteds and the Liverpools and the Bournemouths that he probably has to go to for me to feel a little bit more confident about it. Now, I do like his style of play, and I do think it fits very, very well with Manchester United. If we go for him, I'll back him because I don't have any animosity towards the guy, and I don't think he's a bad coach or manager. I'd be a bit concerned. I'd be a bit worried in terms of I'd be a bit nervous that I kind of feel like, well, this could go either pretty good or it's going to go horribly wrong. And it does sort of feel like a little bit like maybe it could be similar to sort of a Ruben 2.0. I think the biggest thing that I will say to the people that feel like it could be a Ruben 2.0 is, well, one thing, Iraola knows the Premier League. He's been coaching. He knows all the opposition. He's been managing in there for a bit of time now. So he does understand and grasp the league. He understands, the level, the quality. He knows the teams. He knows the football. So that right there is a huge difference between him and Ruben. Massive. So I don't think it would necessarily be like that in that way. Because I think with Ruben, it was very, 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 very big in terms of, not a coach or a manager for a long time, was doing it in the Portuguese league. The Portuguese league is massively different to the Premier League. He was inexperienced on that level as well. Everything else is sort of history. So, I will get into the updates, but I'm going to jump back into the chat real quick because I've been doing a little bit of a monologue. Simon says Enrique was on the list, but he has signed a new contract. Well, yeah, listen, he was on the list. I think United like him, obviously. To me, I'll just say this right now before going off on a tangent. I mean, I think we all watched the PSG Bayern Munich game. What a game of football that was. So exciting. I was sitting there and thinking, I'm like, all my friends that aren't really into football, over here they call it soccer in the States. I'm like, dude, if the games were like that 75% of the time, I was like, they'd all watch it. Their biggest complaint is that, it takes forever to score a goal. And like, sometimes, you watch a game and like, they don't even score. It's like 0-0 or something, or it takes 80 minutes for the ball to go into the net. It's a bit boring. You know what I mean? That you can't complain about that. That definitely wasn't boring. But for me, I mean, I've been watching a lot of PSG because I've been fascinated, by their team. I mean, I think Enrique is probably the best manager in the world right now. I think they have the best team in the world right now. Their players are phenomenal, and they're coached phenomenally as well. So, we sure as hell don't want any Spurs managers, but we're not going to get Spurs managers. Elias says, big up chat. Welcome to the RD VIP section. Thank you again, Elias. Appreciate you, brother. Very, very much. When has a manager from the Prem succeeded? We had Moyes. Spurs just had Thomas Frank. Well, listen, we had Moyes, but Moyes was like a Fergie pick. I don't know. Ultimately, I mean, Hasib, I'll tell you this. I mean, listen, I'll tell you this to push back on that a little bit. Okay, we had Jose. Jose has been our best manager post Sir Alex Ferguson. He's succeeded the most. So he was also a Prem manager. So it did work for him, and I would sort of double down on this, Hasib. I'm not like going at you. I'm just saying, listen, we got a manager from a Portuguese league. We got a manager from the Dutch league. We got Louis van Gaal. We had, who else did we have? We got Ali, who, he's just a club legend. They didn't work out either. So, I don't really think it's such a problem in terms of, you get a manager from the Prem, it's not going to work because it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked no matter what we really tried. And there's other reasons for that because of the way our club is operated and, has done business and set up plans going forward, which is where I agree to the part where somebody said, and I excuse me for forgetting which one of you said it, but it's important to invest in the team and build the team. And that's where I agree with that. So, I Get Up says, I'm good, thank you. How are you? I'm good, bro. I'm good. This is going to be a huge summer that will determine how next season will go for us. Personally, if we can get in Enrique, I say we keep Carrick. Well, listen, I think it's a fair point. I do agree that, listen, and everybody hates this because literally every summer we get to, everybody always says, this is going to be a huge summer, right? It's going to be a huge summer. You know what I mean? But that's because it usually actually is. Like, we're constantly in this situation where, there are massive implications for next season and the season after that and the season after that for what we do in this upcoming window. There are massive implications. And this one, I agree with I Get Up, and I've been saying it, and many people have been saying it in our fan base and across, all forms of social media and all that. This one is huge because we're laying a bit of a foundation here, okay? Like, INEOS have sort of, listen, the first summer transfer window, they went in and sort of just, they picked a couple different pieces in different positions. It was like, just hit one of everything or something close to that, right? It was sort of a mixed bag. Well, the one that we just went through, they were like, all right, we're going to fix the attack. We ignored the midfield. We ignored the midfield in January. We ignored the whole club in January, but I'll put that to a side. Now we're here and it's like, okay, the midfield, you can't ignore it. Even if you wanted to, you can't. This is where we are right now. So the midfield needs the massive rebuild, and it is like a bit of a laying of the foundation. Are you going to try and lay down some sort of a foundation where you can sort of get away with it and say, look at the new foundation we laid down, but then 4 years from now or 3 years from now, that foundation starts to have a bunch of cracks in it because maybe you use some cheap material or the plan, or the way you laid down the foundation wasn't the best way to do it. And so now you're getting cracks in your pavement, your driveway, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm a little bit torn because I don't know what. Usually I'm very opinionated in terms of I have my opinion, my mind made up, and I say this is the best way. This is what needs to be done, and this is how we go. On the manager thing, I'm very torn. I honestly, I know it's not exciting, okay? I know it's not like, like these other streamers or whatever. I truly don't know what is the best call. I can see the argument from both sides. I agree with a lot of things on both sides. I just cannot ultimately come to a decision where I say this is the best case and it's going to go well for us. I don't know. I'm a bit lost. Like with Michael Carrick, I understand like I get upset. If we can't get Enrique, I say we keep Carrick. I understand why he's saying that, and the reason for keeping Carrick is like many of you are saying, well, he's come in, he's started on this track. He's done very well. I believe he has nine wins in 12 games, in 12 matches. It's a very good run. He's got a stabilized. The players are enjoying playing under him. And I keep getting this feeling it's like we started something under him and it's gone very well, and it feels very weird if you just get to the end of the season and you go, thank you very much, and now we'll start again. Now, this could be maybe because I'm being a bit emotional about it, but I don't think so. It doesn't really have to do anything with Michael Carrick per se. As a person, I don't, it's not like it's not like I'm fanboying Carrick. I think like if you took any guy and you put him in this position, whether it's Michael Carrick or somebody else, I'd still be having sort of a similar discussion going on, saying, well, he's done very good. I think it is a hard decision to make in terms of, well, do you stop the ball rolling on this? Because you say, well, there's definitely somebody better with more experience than Carrick, so the grass definitely has to be greener with the other candidate out there. But that's not always the case, and that's not always true, and there is always a possibility that, listen, you can go and you could not give Carrick the job, and you can go and get whoever your ideal candidate may be. We could go and get Luis Enrique. Maybe Luis Enrique comes in. Now, I don't think this would happen, but I think there's always a chance that it could happen. What if Enrique comes in and it doesn't go well? What if he has issues with INEOS and the players don't take to him well, and, it's just sort of a disaster, and it ends badly? Everybody would sit there and say, well, Enrique's a brilliant manager. Look what he's done with PSG. Look what he's done over his career. He's won all these things. So you say, yeah, get him in. It should go well. But that's not always guaranteed. It's not always guaranteed. So we want a new manager at least before preseason. Well, I think before preseason we'll have a new manager for sure. Would you have given Ruud the chance before he made a pig's ear at Leicester? No. I believe I said it at the time. And I said it, and I don't really care what he did at Leicester. What happened at Leicester doesn't really bother me. I was saying at the time, and I remember quite clearly, I said about Ruud, I said Ruud needs, I was like, Ruud was doing his thing, and he came in to help us, and he stabilized it a little bit, but I was like, he needs to go back out there and continue doing his thing. The thing with Carrick is like, Carrick's a little bit different because Carrick has interimed us twice. And both times he's done that, there was very short stints, but he did well. And then he went out and did the Middlesbrough thing. And he's come back now to interim us again for a third time. Only this time has gone extremely well, and he's been here for a long time. So it's with Carrick, it's been a little bit of this flirtatious thing. I mean, there's been people in our fan base talking about Carrick since the first time he interimed us. So it's a bit different in that regard. I also do think that just by the short amount of viewing, I do think Carrick is further ahead in the process than Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think he's probably a better quality of a manager so far right now. So Sebastian is here. What's up, Sebastian? Well, Klopp is advertising Travago. Would you try him? No. He doesn't want to come to us. He wouldn't want to come to us. Anyway. If we had a Chelsea manager, we would be changing it again in 3 months' time. Last night's game wasn't that riveting. I only wish that PSG game was the final. Yeah, it should have been the final. There won't be that many goals in the second leg. There might be. I think they're going to go all out. I don't know what Hasib said, but... Oh, that was accent? Okay. I figured. I was like, I don't think Hasib said some crazy shit. Still goalless in the Forest match tonight. Palace took the lead after 21 seconds in the game. Yeah, keep us updated, please. I would love to see some players who have shown in the World Cup. See, I don't really like that. I'm not for that. I mean, listen, if that's your thing, Simon, you know what I mean, buddy? That's your thing. But for me, I don't really like that. I hate doing the World Cup player thing. I hate it. I've never really seen it translate. listen, if you're like the player of the World Cup, like if you're like the player of the tournament, I mean, I guess, I guess. But like, I think at some point in football, it went a little bit too crazy. Like, there's this guy that nobody really has ever looked at. I kind of look at it like Amrabat. Nobody really paid attention to Amrabat. And then, like, he played so good at the World Cup. And then all of a sudden, everybody was like, Amrabat's a baller. And he's, world class. And then we got him. And it was like, yeah, he ain't world class. Like, he's all right. But then you come back to the reality of club football instead of international football. And, we should have got Enrique when he left the Spain job. When we got Ten Hag, always been a fan. Got cooked on Twitter for saying that back then. Damn, that's crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, you know what, Hasib? I wouldn't be surprised because I do remember that. I mean, he left Spain, so he was getting pelters, right, Enrique, because of how it went with Spain. And then, Ten Hag was sort of on the top of the world at that time. So I could see how you got cooked there. But yeah, that you getting cooked there didn't really age well, did it? Because now I'm if you wrote that now, if you wrote that tweet now, probably nobody would probably even interact with it because they'd be like, yeah, no shit. I think he I think Lyle accidentally timed you out by accident, so. Don't Klopp work at Red Bull? He might go to Madrid or Barca. Well, apparently it seems like Jose is going to Madrid, so that's going to be interesting to watch if that happens. Once we've got Champions League proper with the points we want, then Carrick should be the man, and if he doesn't do a good job, then offer the job to Enrique, but surely he won't leave PSG. Yeah, here's the thing, like, I think the position we're in as well, if you look at sort of the situation, like, I don't think Enrique is going to leave PSG. Like, I don't think he wants to leave. I know he doesn't stay at places for a long time, but I'm sort of looking at this like, listen, they're about to be, in my opinion, they're about to be in another Champions League final. And I think if they get to the Champions League final, which I do think they will do, I think they will win it. I've been saying that I think that they're going to win it again. And if they win it again, it's 2 times in a row. And I think if you win it 2 times in a row, I don't think you're going anywhere because I think you're going to go and try and do it again for 3 times in a row, So, also the squad is young and, he's enjoying his time there. So I don't really see him leaving at the end of this year. Now, maybe 1 more year, maybe he stays for longer. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, so I don't know what his ambitions are. He doesn't tend to stay in one place for very too long. But if you look at the situation of the manager situation right now, these sort of top tier coaches that, are legends like Scholes and Gary Neville and et cetera, have said, and even our fans that say, well, we should have a manager of this sort of ilk. I don't think anybody's sort of disagreeing with that. I think what some of us are saying is, yeah, we like those guys and we would obviously take them, but we're not going to get them, are we? So if we're not going to get them, then we might as well just give the job to Carrick, because really, what is the difference? And I think that's where we find ourselves at. Like, again, if you tell me Enrique or Carrick, I love Carrick, and I wish Carrick nothing but the best, but I'm going to have to go with Luis Enrique on that. If you tell me Ancelotti, I'm going to have to go with Ancelotti just because of who they are. But we can't actually get any of these guys, can we? We're not going to get Enrique now. It's not going to happen. Ancelotti is not on the table. Tuchel is not on the table. And and any other sort of world-class manager that you would say is world-class, we don't actually have a chance to get them this at the end of this season for next season. So with the managerial situation, it's almost kind of set up for Carrick to take it anyway, because it's like, well, we can't get those guys. So, what's sort of the point? If we can't get them, we can't get them. Then, Carrick's done a good job. Might as well give it to him. And then that's where I was going when Simon said that. Like, listen, we could give it a Carrick. I think the hope obviously would be, my hope would be, if Carrick does get it, you hopefully we do well enough where we do good in the Champions League. We get Champions League again, in the following season. So we sustain ourselves at this sort of level. So we are a bit more attractive. And then, if an opportunity arises at some point where maybe Enrique decides he wants to leave, or some other guy, Hansi Flick or somebody, of that ilk, decides that they're going to move or they're leaving the club and they become available, we can then go for them. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it depends how Michael Carrick's doing as well, because if he's doing really good, obviously you're not going to want to change. But, like, listen, if it's, like, decent or whatever, he could be sort of a holdover manager as well. He's come in, he's stabilized us, but he's been here for about 5 months. He could do a stabilization job over the next 1 or 2 seasons as well. That could be one of his roles. That could be, sort of what he could be for us going forward. Third isn't second after Ali, and now after Ruben. Huh? If we do get Michael as manager, and he flops, to quote a line from Hamlet, alas, poor Carrick, I knew him. Have you read the first comment? Yes, I read the first comment. We were calling him an idiot, and, you're just exposing yourself, Axe. The fact that you don't know who that is, bro, I don't know how you want any of us to have an actual conversation with you. Like, how do you not know who that is? Enrique is only good in Latin championships. He has no EPL pedigree. He's not our level. Are you crazy? You're saying things, you don't even know what you're talking about. And then you said it's between Nuggets and Carrick. Well, what kind of logic does that work? So Enrique is only good in Latin championships. He has no EPL pedigree. What pedigree does Julian Nagelsmann have? Does Julian Nagelsmann have EPL pedigree? If you're going to say things, at least make it make sense, bro. What about Poch? Or is he a no? Poch is definitely big no for me. Yeah, I don't know, Hasib. I don't know. I think just because it's Poch, I don't know. It was like a fantasy once upon a time. It was linked to United for quite a decent amount of time. But I don't know. I would stay very, very far away from Pochettino. I don't even think he's realistic anyway, so. When Newcastle's slipping up a bit, what about Howe or Emery? Well, I get Howe. I think Eddie Howe maybe could do a decently good job. But again, I'm sort of looking at it like, listen, if we're getting one of these guys, I think my focus shifts to, like, we're going into a stabilization era. If you get, like, Carrick's permanent manager, I'm not expecting Carrick to really, I think, can he win, like, a cup? Could he maybe get, like, an FA Cup or a Carabao? Sure. But I don't really think Carrick would be able to win us the league. Unless he's here for, like, about three plus years. After 3+ years, I think maybe then he could really, depending on how the team looks. I think if you get Iraola, I think it would be the same. I think if you get Eddie Howe, it would be similar. Even Unai Emery. These guys, to me, are coaches slash managers that you would bring in that is what I would classify as a stabilization era. It would be a couple seasons, 2 to 3 seasons, where we just consistently stay inside of the top four. We do decently well in all the competitions. Maybe we're able to win an FA Cup or a Carabao. Maybe we can kind of push for the Premier League, but we're not ultimately going to get it done, and we're not going to get over the line, and we're still going to be a bit far away, or maybe we fall off at the end, the back end of the season. And then the Champions League, obviously get out of the sort of the league table phase, and we'll get knocked out, somewhere in whatever stage it is. And we under them, we'd probably have to do that for like 2 to 3 seasons straight in a row, so that we're consistently in that spot, so we can consistently, to the targets, the transfer targets, that can sort of be our selling point. When we go to them and say, listen, look, we've been, we've gone to the quarterfinals in the Champions League like 3 seasons in a row. We've finished, third and second and third in the Premier League 3 seasons in a row. You're the key to our project, whatever player it may be. We want to bring you in to elevate us, because we're going to, we're trying to push to win the damn thing. We need you. We can sell that point a little bit better when we are consistently there, and the player can see it and say, well, look, they are right around there. They are sort of finishing second and third, and they are getting into like the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They've done it for the past 3 seasons. If I bring my talents there, I feel like I can elevate them another spot or two, and I can push them, and we can go and win things together. So I think with these types of managers, though, I think that's what we're looking at. Now, if they were to happen to do some miracle, by all means, go ahead. But again, I think you can go down the route of if you get a Carrick or a Howe or whatever, like these guys, with our resources, if INEOS do their job and bring in the correct quality of player and the correct needs of the team, and build the team correctly, I think these guys would be able to do a certain level of a job where we are consistently staying at least in Champions League football in the top 4 for the next 2 to 3 seasons. Then from there, then we have to see what happens. Like Hansi Flick could be available, Enrique could be available, some other guy that, name whoever you want, some serial winner guy. He could become available, and then we could say, well, thank you. You've done a good job for stabilizing us for like 2-3 years. You've done a good job, but, we got to move on to the next phase, the next step of this. And we need a guy that's, another level above. And that could happen. So that's how I sort of look at it. Obviously, the negatives are, you get a Michael Carrick or you get a Howe or Iraola, and, it goes horribly wrong at some point because of maybe a lack of experience or whatever it may be. And it sort of comes crashing down, and you don't stabilize. You have a bad season, and then they end up losing their job, and then you have to start over from scratch again. Trying to uplift, trying to stabilize the club again, the team, and bring them back up, and get them to do the things that basically Carrick has done since he's come in. So that is correct, Ax. We are the team with the most 1 point since Carrick has been in charge. Emery, yes, but risky at a big club like Arsenal. Howe ain't good enough manager according to Newcastle fans, so why will he be good enough for us? Well, I don't know. I don't really listen to Newcastle fans. I mean, I see sort of. I mean, I've been watching Eddie Howe for a long time. I've always liked Eddie Howe, and I think he's. I think he is a decently good manager. I think Newcastle situation. I think Eddie Howe has a bit of faults. But I don't know if it's Newcastle per se, them, or maybe it's him. He does seem to. I don't know if he's the best at rotating players per se to keep them fresh. They always constantly seem to have some sort of injury crisis, which does tend to derail their season. It's happened quite a lot. Now, I don't know if that's the comings of Newcastle because they weren't in European football, then they did well enough to get into European football, and they're not, they weren't ready to really handle all of that. I don't know. I think he's an all right manager. I'm not saying, throw everybody out the window for Eddie Howe. I think he would be a decent option. But I would lump him in with everybody else. I think if you go with Carrick, it's not too far off of Eddie Howe. I think if you go with Eddie Howe, it's not too far off of Carrick, and Eddie Howe is not too far off of Iraola, and Iraola isn't too far off of, Unai Emery to a certain degree. The only thing is Emery's a bit more experienced. But again, I still view Unai Emery. He's probably the top. He's probably the best of the stabilizers, as I'll classify them. He's probably the best of the stabilizers. The stabilizing managers. He's probably the best of them. He's probably at the top of the list of the stabilizers. But Unai does not. He is not a guy. I mean, look, they look where they were. They bottled it. They bottled their position. Unai does this a lot. He does this a lot. He's won Europa Leagues, but he can't win the Champions League. He can't win the Premier League. He's the top of a stabilize. Like, he can stabilize you. He can get you there. He can keep you consistent in a certain level. You'll be in top 4 consistently. But to me, he's not a guy that's going to get you over the line. So I think even if you bring him in, I still think 2-3 years. Does it after the 3rd year? You really have to push to try and get over the line. You don't get over the line, I think we're going to have to move on to somebody else. So, bro, he's the Bournemouth manager, bro. He's the Bournemouth manager. Cheers, Eric. Catch you tomorrow if your streaming energy is cooked. Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be live. On the plate. The Magic so far has returned with Carrick, mind you. We've had a few bum matches. Well, listen. Let me get to the. I'll read the updates so you kind of understand where we are, right now. You know what I mean? The window was to open tomorrow. What player or players would you pounce on first? The midfielders. I mean, listen, if I had it my way, I'm going for the big names. And I'm getting somebody massive because we're losing Casemiro. And I said this a bunch of times already, but listen, you're never going to be able to replace like for like Casemiro. He's his own guy. Okay, he has his own experiences, and he is a unique player. Okay, he is a unique player. You cannot replace 100% like for like unique players. You just can't. You never will. You can replace them with a different unique player that does their own unique thing and bring their own thing, but you'll never be able to replace them 100%. And for me, we have, listen, the midfield is huge, but for INEOS, they have one objective. And if they go light on it and they think it's like a fucking joke, or they think they can, again, to me, it's sort of like they're just going to half-ass it and say, look, we did something. It's amazing. When it's really like, decently good, and it's not amazing. And they try to pass it off as amazing. I mean, one, they'll be found out for fraud, because we'll all know. But two, like, we're going to be screwed. Listen, you got Tonali out there right now, okay, who is a possibility. It's a bit expensive, but it's a possibility. Like, you can go do it if you want to. If you so choose to do so, we have the means to do it. It's if you want to do it, and if you think it's a good idea to do it. It's totally different. But we can go do that. There is Elliot Anderson out there. Now, City are in pole position, but, I mean, listen, if you really want the guy, you should be doing fucking everything in your power to try and pull him into your corner. And, be extreme about it. Fucking call him 47 times, his agent. I don't know. Do whatever you gotta do. Stop pulling out all the tricks out of the bag. Fergie used to do this shit and all the other managers used to do it. I'm pretty sure we kidnapped somebody one time. If I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure we, technically kidnapped the player. Like, he was supposed to go and sign for some club, and Fergie got the guy... got the cab driver or somebody to come drop him off to us, and we fucking signed him instead. This is what I'm saying. Like, go crazy. Stop pulling all the tricks out of the bag if that's who you really want. But my main thing is, and I said this before, I said, listen, they have to try and negate the massive hole that Casemiro is going to leave us. If you go get Sandro Tonali and you put him into that midfield in place of Casemiro, that's probably the best job that you could do. You probably can't do any better of a job trying to plug the hole that Casemiro is leaving by doing such a thing. Okay? There's Tchouaméni. If you want to do that, it's another good option to try and fill the void that Cass is leaving. There's a certain level that you gotta hit. If we're not hitting the level of that, and Tonali goes to Arsenal, and Anderson goes to Manchester City, and the other guy goes to, I don't know, Liverpool or Chelsea, and we're sitting there and we're watching fucking all these big top players, and they're going to our rivals. And we didn't get any of them, and we got probably on that list the 7th or 8th best choice out of that list. Well, fuck then, aren't we? Yeah. Then we've done a very shit job, haven't we? Because not only did we not get the best player or one of the top 3 candidates that you would pick to minimize the loss of Casemiro, but those guys have also gone to our rivals or clubs that we're competing with. So it's we would get double shafted, pretty much. So we got to see exactly how that goes. But for me, with Casemiro leaving a massive hole in the team, if I was in charge right now, the first thing I'm doing is I'm either getting Elliot Anderson or Tonali. I'm getting one of them ASAP. And we're doing deals for both of them simultaneously at the same time. And we're pushing as hard as possible for both of them. And whichever one we catch on the hook first is the one that we're bringing in. Or whichever one is the better deal as well. So we push for both. And if we can't really convince Elliot Anderson, but we end up getting a deal with Tonali, fine, fuck it. You could go to Manchester City. We got our guy. Come with us. And we move. If Casemiro plays against Liverpool and scores, then that is going to be quite a send-off. Well, listen, I think we'll beat them. And I think we're going to do the double over them. For the first time in I don't know how long it's been. So are they really considering the Bournemouth manager? Well, he has been in consideration for quite a bit of time now. So I mean, it's not really it's not breaking news. Hi, I see United put a bid for Anderson. Well, there was breaking news on that, so I was going to get into that in a second, but says Natasha. But thank you. Um, well, Hasib says we're only going to Anderson with a big overpay, so I'd rather not. Well, listen, there's no problem with that. What I'm saying is, from the club's perspective, okay? And this is what I would do, and there's nothing else to do. There's nothing more to do it. But if you want to compete, okay, and I've said this multiple times, if Elliot Anderson, if Manchester City offer, I don't know, let's say they offer 75 million, and they offer Elliot Anderson, I don't know, 250,000 a week, okay. If that goes in, I'll offer the same thing, maybe slightly a little bit more, slightly, just slightly, but not a whole lot. Maybe slightly a little bit more, but around the same. And then that's it. But at least match the offer. If you really want him, and you think he's that good, and you think he's that important, at least match the offer and make him choose. And if he chooses to go to City, then so be it. We match the offer. He didn't fucking choose us. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can't go we can't go crazy and say, well, they offered him 250,000, let's blow him out of the water and offer him 350,000 a week. That's where the stupidityness comes in. But my thing is, you can at least match them, because you're not going to get him for cheaper. Like, if they're involved, okay, and they set the standard, which we are not. We're not doing it. They're doing it. If they're setting the standard, if you want him, you got to at least match it. So if you go and match it, and he picks the other team, I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. But if you are gonna sit here, and like some of the reports have been saying, we're kind of just sitting waiting to see if they're gonna do the deal. And if they don't do the deal, then we'll go in. It's like, well, that's a load of bullshit. Because we're not going to get the deal. I mean, like, I don't know who needs to tell them, but it's like, bro, if they're interested in a player, when have you seen them not complete a deal? Like, you're either going to go toe-to-toe with them on this, or just forget about him already and move on. Because to sit there and be like, yeah, we'll just see if they actually complete the deal, maybe it falls through. When the fuck has a deal for City for a player that they want? When has it fallen through? It's not going to fall through. You have to be there with them. If they offer him 250,000 a week and they want to pay 75 million for him, you must make a determination. How badly do we believe in this player? How badly do we want this player? Is he the key? Is he worth to us that much? If the answer is yes, you put in the same matching bid. Forget everything else. You put in the same amount of money with the same wage, maybe slightly a little bit more. If you want to try and convince him a little bit, you can't go crazy though. You can't offer him 350,000 a week, because that's just an out. You're taking an out. He's clearly not worth that much, and now you're overcompensating. You're doing too much to try and please somebody. Okay, that should never be the case. You match it. You give him two offers, you let him pick where he wants. If he doesn't pick us and they have the same offer, well, clearly he's picking them for a different reason. So there's no reason to try and, buy him out with money, because that's not even a good thing. That would be like he's only coming to us really for the money, which is what we used to do, which is what we don't want to do. So Arsenal can have Tonali, City can have Anderson, bring me Tuchemeni. Well, I'll see. No. Believing in Kyla. No, hell no. That I don't even know who that. I don't know if it's a he, a she, a they. I don't know who the fuck Indy Kyla actually is, but they are the worst thing to ever happen to transfer news. They are so full of shit. I can't stand them. And people are idiots, because all they do is they interact with them and they keep giving them, clout, which is what they want. But they're so full of shit. I mean, they got one story right one time, somehow, some way, and everything else that they've said has been all bullshit and made up. The last time we got the double over Liverpool was in the 2015-2016 campaign, man. So fucking 10 years, man. Calm down, Eric. See you wearing the chain. I think Anderson is in. Well, I'm calm. I'm just I'm not angry or nothing. I'm just being passionate. We can't force players to join us. They're grown up. Let them decide. Exactly. Sitting with Carrick, don't worry. Call his beloved Mateus Fernandez, selling Manuel Ugarte. You were on earlier tonight. Have a glass of red wine. No, I'm on at the usual time I'm usually on. No red wine. Not till later. I still have things that I gotta go do. Palace 2-1 up in their match tonight. Still goalless in the Forest game. Eric, get rid thumbnail. Why? But anyway. Alright, let's hit the talking points, because we've done a lot of opinion, but I want to hit the updates. So, this started with Jay Burton, the Telegraph. It said, Iraola is a serious contender alongside Michael Carrick for the Manchester United head coach role. Iraola is highly admired for his work at AFC Bournemouth, particularly his coaching approach and playing style. United are said to be categorical about conducting a full recruitment process with multiple candidates expected to be interviewed before any final decision is made. That is from Jay Burton, the Telegraph. That sort of kicked off the little updates from today. And then following that up, okay? Following that up, once I find it, because they are split apart by a few hours, for whatever reason that may be. But he followed that up by saying Manchester United had been wary of a repeat of 2019 when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was promoted from temporary to permanent amid a clamor for him to get the job. I mean, I can understand that. That was one of my concerns in the beginning as well, but I think it's really unfair to Michael Carrick to do that, because I think Carrick and Ali, again, two different guys. They understand and look at the game two different ways. They're two different people. And it's also two different times as well. And not for nothing, we have two different managements as well, okay? Like, Richard Arnold was there. And I think Ed Woodward was there. I think it was split between Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold. You know, and that setup. And you're INEOS. Like, you do have a... You do have a say, INEOS, okay? You do have a say in how that goes, all right? Like, I would make the point to them and be like, yeah, okay, we did get Ali, and it was good for 2 seasons, and like every other manager, it was okay or decently good for 2 seasons, and the club does what the club usually does, and basically by the 3rd season, they start getting cold feet about the managers, so they don't spend as much money when we need to continue to push as much as possible, and then everything fucking falls apart. Also, the recruitment was way more shitter at that time than it is now. So these things do have impact, you know, for Solskjaer when he was there as well. And you have the impact that you can have. I mean, if you're good at your job, like, you can fucking help Carrick do well. Like, you know, it doesn't have to go the same way. Just don't make the same fucking mistakes. In terms of, if you get a guy, make sure you're doing the best job to build the squad. Get the correct players. Spend the correct amount of money. Win and do that. I mean, I always felt bad in the one situation for Ollie, because bro was trying to build the team. There was a lot of players he asked for. The club never got them, decided to get their own players, and basically told them to make it work. And he did a decently good job of making it work. The two that kind of really fucked him up was Sancho and Cristiano Ronaldo, because I think the team that he was setting up to play, Ronaldo didn't really fit that style, but the club bring him back because he's Ronaldo and he's gonna sell kits, and also we didn't want him to go to City because that would be a fucking disaster, PR wise for us. So they bring him in, and the whole dynamic of the team had to change. I don't think that necessarily helped him. So, but Jay Burt also said Manchester United previously indicated they are prepared to wait until after the World Cup for the right manager, but Pochettino does not appear to be in the running, and neither is Germany's Julian Nagelsmann. So, I mean, on one hand, I'm relieved because fucking Pochettino should not be in the running at all. Bro is washed and done, and that ship has sailed, and he should never come anywhere near. Bro, his time is done. It's over. Forget fucking Pochettino. The guy is a washed case. Bro, if you've ended up as the manager for the United States of America team, you are washed, bro. I don't know how else to say that. You're washed. You're done. Like, you are done at the highest level, bro. You're done. Okay? You got sacked from PSG, whatever. You're done. Go manage fucking, I don't know, Real Sociedad or some shit. All right? Have fun. But, no. And, I mean, it's interesting that Jay Burt says that Nagelsmann doesn't seem to be in the running. I think the one thing about Nagelsmann is that we would have to pay. And, I don't know if these guys truly want to pay. But I would say that that's sort of bullshit if they don't want to pay, because it's their fault anyway. Like, they're the ones that couldn't make a decision on Ten Hag. Ultimately, what was the first thing that they said about Ten Hag? We couldn't really determine if it was his fault or if it was the environment's fault. So we decided to fix the environment and give Ten Hag an opportunity. Then, 3.5 months later, they sacked Ten Hag, and they were like, yeah, we fucked that up. We shouldn't have given him the opportunity. It was clearly he was a problem. Our bad. And then they got Ruben. Okay? And again, you're going to make that decision. It's a massive change. You got to have the money plus the time to do such a thing, to transform the whole team to play in a completely different style and system. And we didn't have the money to do it in the amount of time that people would have liked for it to happen, and that went to shit. So they spent money on Ten Hag. They sacked him, spent more money. They spent money on buying Ruben out, and then sacked him and paid him more money. So I think they're sort of looking at it like, well, we've spent a bunch of money on managers. We don't really want to spend any more money because we're fucking wasting money. So I think any manager that is in a position where we would have to buy them out, because they're under contract right now, I think is kind of off the table, which is why we see, Carrick is a strong candidate. Iraola is a free agent, okay? After this summer, Glasner will be a free agent. And the other ones are not. The other ones are not. So, I don't really agree with that sort of philosophy, but I could see it sort of happening. I could see it happening. I don't know who you're accusing of that. Why are you people turning Carrick into Ali like it's the same person? Well, none of us are doing that. That's the report coming from the Telegraph. I do think it's a bit genuine in the club. I mean, We don't know every single person that gets involved in this. We know the main people, all right? But there are a bunch of people there, within the hierarchy that work under sort of the head figures, right? Like there are people that work for Wilcox or, under Wilcox that are basically no names. Like we don't know their names, we don't know their face, but they're there, they're personnel, they work for him. Okay, there's people that work for Vivell, there's people that work under these little associates people. So they'll have their concerns and they'll voice their opinions. I do think that there's probably a couple of them in there that probably do genuinely feel a concern that, like, listen, we're sort of here, we don't really want to make the same mistake. Would it be the same mistake? Would we be doing the same thing if we go for for Michael Carrick? Is there the potential that it ends up like Solskjaer? We don't want that to happen again. We obviously want to get it right. I do think that they genuinely are expressing that behind the scenes. So we getting tools. Michael Carrick, Carlos Baleba, Mateus Fernandez do it now. But you don't know if we're actually going to get those people. Bro, it's not a shit. What are you... Lucky, it's not a shit source, bro. And he's not the only one that... What are you talking about, bro? First of all, the Telegraph is not a shit source. It's not a shit source. Also, Jay Burton, the Telegraph, is not the only person that's reporting this. Fabrizio Romano literally talked about this not too long ago. Yeah, I'll give you the full update, okay? From all the sources. The Telegraph, Manchester Evening News, Fabrizio Romano, all right? The Mirror and the Daily Mail, those I consider shit. United Focus, Give Me Sport. It's not a shit source, bro. You just don't like the story. Temesgens, yes, I like Iraola is better coach. Please, Wilcox. I don't know if that's happening. 1-0 Forest against Villa tonight. Run Forest. Damn. But this is what I'm saying. Look, like Forest are playing Villa right now, okay? This is why I don't rate Emery like that. I think Emery is a guy that can bring you stabilization. And you can be consistent to a certain level from year to year. But this guy will not get you to the promised land, ultimately. So, with any of these guys, Carrick, Iraola, whoever it is, if it's not Enrique, if it's not Ancelotti, if it's not a top tier guy, I view these guys are here the next 2 to 3 years to stabilize us, to make us consistent, and then we're going to probably have to take that's if this goes well. If it goes well, then after that we'll have to take the next step again. You know? Because it kind of seems that's what, even to the case of Mikel Arteta, he's been given an extensive time. I don't think Carrick will be able to get 6 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's gotten 6 years, but he seems like to me, and the proof is kind of there, that Arteta is... He was basically the stabilization guy. Like, he brought them from down there. They built the squad. He stabilized them to where they are. Okay? They've been finishing second in the Premier League for a while. They can't get over the line. They're in the semi-final of the Champions League. They've done decently well in the Champions League the past couple of years, but they can't fucking win it. Okay? He's got more of an extensive time. He's got 6 years. I don't think you're going to get 6 years at Manchester United. But he seems like one of those guys. Like, he's not the guy he's got them to the point. Now it's time to say thank you very much, but we're at a point where we need an elite level guy to come in and take us to the next step. And that's how I view the rest of these candidates. Carrick, Iraola, whoever it may be, these guys, their job, come in, make us very stable consistently for the next 2 to 3 seasons, do as good as he can. I don't believe that any of them can win us the Prem or are going to win us the Prem or get us into a Champions League final. I don't think that they'll be able to do it. And then at some point, 2 to 3 years, when a better option comes along the way and they're available, we're going to have to shake their hand and say, thank you for everything, but we're going to have to move on to something a little bit better. That's how I see that. Yeah, Laurie Wetwell is good, and Sully Talks is good too, but the Jay Burton and the Telegraph is not a bad source, bro. Why change something which functions well? Well, I mean, it's a good point. I said that before. It's not an easy decision. It's a valid argument to make. I don't know. Because I think the situation can go either way. Listen, we can sit here and be convinced all we want that Michael Carrick has done a good job and Michael Carrick deserves the job and we're going to get Michael Carrick players and we'll have a good season next season and everything is fine. It's the correct decision. But next season is going to be very different than this season. And there's a lot of shit that is out of our hands. We can't control what Liverpool does. We can't control what Chelsea do. We can't control what Arsenal does. We can't control what Manchester City does. We can't control what any other club does. We can only control ourselves. So if we have I don't know, let's just say we have an average. Let's say we have like a C transfer window in the summer. These guys, they have better transfer windows than us. All right? And next season, they're all better than they were this season. There is a possibility that with Carrick, we won't have a very good season. It's not an indictment on Carrick. It just doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. So we could go into next season. The schedule is bigger. There's a lot more things to manage. He's not really having to deal with that stuff right now. There's a lot of different factors next season that's not happening right now. That, yes, okay, it's gone well right now, but next season we might not see that. Maybe it gets derailed. So, you kind of like, yes, it's going well now, but you also have to take into consideration about what's coming next season. And you have to make the best call to handle the next season that's coming. So, I don't know what is the correct call. Me personally, they can make a couple decisions, make the decision, I'll probably back it because you're not hiring Gareth Southgate. So I don't know which one is right because we can keep Carrick. We could have a good season. I could see how it might not be good next season as well. And if it happens, I wouldn't be that surprised. You know? And then we're in a situation where it's like, well, now we're sort of fucked. So see, you say Carrick is the next big thing. I don't know if he is, bro. I'm not emotional like that, bro. I'm not emotional like that. Like, I like Michael Carrick, but I'm not getting carried away with my emotions because he's a United legend and he's done well for us. All right? I don't know if he is. First of all, he's got to prove that. He's done really well so far, but this is football, and football is very ruthless at times, and you could be on top of the world 1 minute, and you could be at the bottom of the pile the fucking next season. So, it doesn't take a lot to go from the top to the bottom in football. It's very cutthroat. So, he could be having a blast right now. All right? Which he is. He's done very well. All right? We can give him the new job. We can be all excited. It's Carrick. He's a legend. He's the next big thing up. He's gonna be, top 2 manager in the world. He's coming to cook everybody. He's gonna blow past everybody. We go next season, and by November we're sitting there and we're like, yeah, this has gone terribly wrong. Has gone terribly wrong. And it only takes like 3 months, bro. If you don't get the results and the shit starts going sideways for you, for whatever reason, because you just never know, then what? Carrick needs 2 equally good teams. Currently, we only have 1. Well, yes, the depth is a major thing, and that's so much. That's more of my focus anyway. I mean, I've been saying this for time, and it's been probably my argument since I started this channel. Okay, under every manager that we've had so far. To me, the building of the team at this current moment in time for our football club, specifically our situation, not in general. Not in general of football, specifically for us. The most important thing is the building of the squad. And the building of the squad, okay, maybe the manager helps with that, but ultimately it comes from these guys that run us. They ultimately make the decision. They ultimately, they want to say it's we do it with the head coach or we do it with the manager. We work as a unit or whatever it is. But ultimately, I mean, again, we've already seen some examples of this. Like at one point, Ruben wanted an experienced striker. Did he get an experienced striker? No, we got Benjamin Sesko. So like, they can make decisions that doesn't have to go with the manager. They do it for the club, but they have to get it right and they have to get the shit done. If they're not getting the shit done, they're not getting the proper players. Carrick, Emery, whoever it is, it probably ain't going to work well. It's not going to work well regardless. So that's why I'm not really too concerned too much about the manager. I mean, if they pick Carrick, good. I'll be there backing him. If they go and pick somebody else, I'll be like, all right, it's going to be risky, but like, let's see what happens and we'll go for the ride and, we'll see how it goes. And it is what it is. But the bigger thing, the bigger piece of the puzzle is when that transfer window closes, what players did we get? What did the other teams do? What players did they get? How are we looking? And was it enough? Because if you answer no by the end of August 31st, it's probably a good indication of how the season's going to go. Don't forget there are 2 sides to a coin. Heads, a good season, tails, disaster. Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm just saying in general, like this, and I try to view it from both sides. But there are a lot of people that they're like, Carrick is the guy and he's gonna, do amazing things, and they don't give a thought about the other side of the coin. Okay, and they believe truly that like it's automatically it's going to be a good season, and I'm just here to say that I bring you back down to reality a little bit, and I just say, well, there's always a chance that doesn't actually fucking happen, and I'm trying to help you because life and reality is a bit harsh sometimes, bro. And if you put yourself in a little bit of a bubble thinking that like everything's going to be peachy, and you don't think of any of the possible consequences on the other side, and the consequences happen, you're going to be fucking torn to pieces. So when the new fixtures come out, let's see who the first 3 games are. We had a bad start under Amorim because Arsenal was the first game. Well, we also did have a bad start under Ten Hag as well. Yeah, that's something that I would like for us to change. I would like the first 3 games. I would like for us to win them. I would like for us to have a good start finally. We need that. So we haven't done that either. It's make it or lose it on squad depth considering next season. I mean, but I truly do agree. Ax, I do 100%. The squad depth is mega super important, and we see why. And that's why I think when I say, like, you know, again, I think, listen, if you don't have the depth, like Ax is saying, like if you don't have the depth, you put any manager in that situation, that manager's most likely going to be fucked, because again, the manager can only do so many things. Like they're not miracle workers, man. They can't just make shit happen if they don't have the shit to make stuff happen. Like if they don't have the if they don't have the tools, like they can't really get the job done, can they? You know, it's like, again, I try to use this, but people want to fight me on the analogy. But bro, like, coming from a construction background, like if you're on the job and your job is to do the construction in a specific certain way, and you don't have all the materials to do it, you can't do it. Like you maybe you could. Somebody will argue me, well, a true craftsman will be able to. Sure, you could do it. It's not going to be the same though. It's not going to be the same. Like you won't be able to do it to the highest potential possible, or the correct, the exact way that they would like it. Like if it's designed a specific way and I don't have that material, I could use a different material, but it's going to be it's not going to be the same. It's not going to look the same. It might not hold up the same. You know, that thing might deteriorate faster than the other material. So like, it's the same situation. Like, you know, you have Carrick there, or you have Iraola, or you have fucking Julian Nagelsmann. Well, if the squad doesn't have the proper depth, and we get to a point where the squad's looking quite thin, and, you know, maybe we have some players struggling with form, some players are injured, maybe we got like a player suspended or some shit, and then we're sitting there and we're about to play like 3 or 4 really important matches of the season, and we're looking at the squad and we're going, we're fucked, we got no options. Whoever it may be, whether it's Nagelsmann, Carrick, or whatever, how can you sit there and say, well, this guy's got to go get the job done? It's like, no, they've gotten fucked because we didn't do what we needed to do, which was to make sure that we have proper squad depth. So when we get in this situation, the manager still has viable options so he can go and get the job done. Natasha says, I think next season will be terrible. Well, listen, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about terrible. Listen, there's always a possibility. I don't think it would be terrible. I just don't know how good it can be. Because, again, we're here. We're sort of like, yeah, we finished third. We're getting into the Champions League. Now everybody has high hopes. And the pressure is going to start to really mount and build. And, you know, there's going to be really high expectations for next season, which I don't really have necessarily a problem. But again, if INEOS don't do as good as a job as we feel like they need to do in terms of player recruitment and squad building, all of that's going to fall onto, you know, if it's Michael, it's going to fall onto Michael. And I could see how Michael could get fucked. Like he could get in a situation where it goes from bad to worse. You know, maybe we're not in the best of form. We're struggling. You know, we lose a couple players due to injury because we're playing a lot more matches and the squad's looking a bit thin. And now we got to go play, you know, some big opponents. And it's just like, you know, you end up in these situations in the season where you can't actually foresee them for sure. You know, listen, if I'm going to be blunt, I'd be sitting there telling them, listen, Jim Wilcox, like, bro, you know, next season, at some point in the season, we're going to be in a situation where some bullshit is going to happen. Okay? We're going to be in a bullshit situation. We're going to have that guy suspended. these 3 players are going to get injured and be out for fucking 4 weeks. It's going to be at the same time we have the fixture list of we're going to end up playing Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and fucking Real Madrid 4 games in a row. All right? Now, I don't know that 100%, but you know that it's going to be some bullshit like that because it literally happens every season. There's always some bullshit happening in different ways. And I would say, Jim and Wilcox, we got to cover our ass, bro. So when that happens, we get through that and we don't get absolutely battered and destroyed and our season is derailed. And then, I don't know. So Jim will probably be talking about fucking immigrants or something. And I'll be like, all right, you fuck off. You're useless. And then Jason will just be agreeing with whatever Sir Jim's saying. And, I bet you're off to the gym today. I am. This is why I told them the dream transfer target. Listen, they're not listening to you, though. The board just does not want to spend. Well, but they have to spend. And Natasha, I make this argument with you every time. The board has to spend if the board is going to get what they want. They have to spend a certain amount. If you truly believe that it's all for money, which is fine, but I'm just trying to say, if you think it's all for money and they want to make the most money, they still need to spend money to make money. Because if they spend no money, they're going to lose money. If they don't spend enough money and we don't do a certain level of spending on a certain level of quality, they're going to lose money. So if they want to make money and it's all about money for them, they're going to have to spend money. So that's why I don't really buy that they don't want to spend money, because they're not profiting from not spending. They're not. They're losing money. They are losing money. If we're not in the Champions League, they are losing money. If we are not finishing high up in the Premier League, we are losing money. Now, the distinct difference between winning and maybe finishing third maybe isn't a whole lot of money, so they don't really care enough for that. But they will have to spend a certain amount to keep us in a certain place. Because if they don't, they're not making money. They're going to lose money. They're going to lose the sponsorships. We're going to lose money from the Champions League. We're going to lose money from our deal with Adidas. So it doesn't really benefit them to be like, yeah, we don't want to spend money because we want to keep it in our pocket. It's like, well, but you're not going to keep it in your pocket. You're going to lose money. You're actually going, by keeping the money in your pocket, you're actually losing money. So Lucky says, I'm pushing the Glazers INEOS. Get players now. Carlos Baleba bid, 67.2 million. Manuel Ugarte, 34.2 million. Mateus Fernandez, 42.2 million. Rasmus Højlund, 38 million. Tuchel, 55 million. But it will be cheaper second-rate players. Listen, I mean, if that's what they do, Natasha, then they're fools. Because again, like that's my argument. If they do that and they think they can get away with it, they're going to find out that they fucked up. So if it's cheap second-rate players, and listen, I don't necessarily have a problem. Again, they don't have to buy the most expensive player. I think you can mix it up. I think if you go for one really big, but listen, if I'll give you this, if they can find players that are cheaper, but they come to us and they're actually effective, I don't give a shit what they cost then. If they're getting a guy for 22 million and he comes and he plays for us and he does brilliant, well then they've done their job. They've done exactly actually what they're supposed to do, which is to find a guy that doesn't cost a shit ton, that makes a very good impact. But if they don't get that call right and they get a guy for 22 million and he ain't good enough and we get screwed over because of that, well then, it is what it is. That's it. Then it's done. So if they think they could get second-rate players because they want to have their cake and eat it too, and they think they're going to get away with it, if they're not genuinely getting players like a Sene Lemons, for example, who was cheap, who has come in and had an impact immediately and has been good and way better than what we had before, if they're not doing that to that level, well, it ain't going to work out for them, is it? So, if they think they're going to get away with it in that case, unless they're spot on in their analysis of the player, unless they're spot on with identifying the players, then, it won't work. I don't necessarily have a problem because, if you look at PSG, okay, some of the players like Doué and these other guys, the young kids, Barcola and stuff like that, okay, they got them for next to nothing. They got those players for next to nothing. They were the players that you would identify and probably say, some people will say, they are cheaper second-rate players because they're young. Nobody knew who they actually necessarily were, okay? And they were quite unproven, all right? So, but now everybody thinks they're brilliant. If you're going to get players like that and they turn out to be that good, you've done your job and there's no problems. But if you're getting players on that cheap level and we watch them play for United and they just ain't that quality, well, then it's over. You know what I mean? It's done. Is it just spin stories all the time? Well, listen, there's a lot of rumors. I don't know. There's nothing you could really do about it. So, you know what I mean? You just got to sort of go with it and see where we end up and try to navigate it. I don't think everything is spin. There's definitely spin out there for sure. They've definitely done spin before, but, a lot of it is normal. In terms of me growing up and, I was always heavily involved in the United News. I used to go on a website called News Now. This was when I was like 10 years old. Newsnow.net, I think it is. It gives you all the rumors from all types of sources all over the world. They're all rumors. But I used to click all the links and read all the stories and update that shit like 20 times a day just to go through it. It's always been like this. This was before social media was even really kind of a thing. It's always been like this. There's always some story. There's always something going on. You just gotta take it for what it is and just go, well, it's a story. Could be true, could be wrong. We'll see what happens, And then once things actually materialize, then we analyze it from there, and we take the next step. But there's nothing really more that you could do. Do you really think we have the people capable of finding young gens? Come on, they had hired Amorim. Like, come on. Well, I to a certain degree I do, Axe, because I don't think Barada is necessarily involved in that, and I don't know how much Wilcox is necessarily involved in that because Vivell is the head of recruitment. So I believe in Vivell a lot. I think he's probably the smartest football guy we have. And I think Vivell can find players like that. The only thing is when Vivell goes to them and says, I got a guy here that we can sign for 22 million. And, he's 18 years of age and he plays in this league, they're going to listen to him. Or not. That's the only thing. And I will say this, listen, maybe Lemons was a one-off and we got lucky, but but for the other side of the argument, I would say if we could do it once, you could do it again. And if we did it with Lemons, you could do it again. So we just did it. So I don't see the reason why we can't we can't manage to do it again. We just did it. We just did it. So, you know, I could be a manager. I mean, I don't know how good of a manager I'd be. I'd probably be a good assistant coach. I don't think I would. I don't think I'd be able to be like a full manager. I'd probably be good at assistant coach. I think I'd like to help the players, and give them advice. Um, but I don't know if I would be able. I'm not a tactician. It's not my expertise. So coming up with game plans and analyzing the opposition and all that shit, that's not my forte. So I don't know how I don't know how good of a manager I would be, because you need to be a manager. You gotta have you gotta have a complete package. That's not my thing. I think I would be a very good assistant manager. I think I help the manager. I can help the players. I work with the players closely, 1v1, watch things that they're doing, give them advice. I think that I could do, because I kind of already do that on a small level. I got friends that still play, the game at a basic level, and I watch them, and I always go out of my way to tell them, like, listen, I'm like, you do this very well, but you get a little bit too excited here. You need to calm down. You need to have a little bit of composure, slow it down in this area, speed up. The cutting inside is good, like stuff like that. I always just give them little stuff when I watch them play. But being a full-time manager, I don't think I could do that. This channel talking like Manchester United are in West Ham Tottenham position. In what way? In what way? All right. Somebody did mention Ayub Buwadi. Nah, I don't know about this source. This come from Abdella Bolma. I have no clue who that is. Journalist, reporter. I don't know. But Manchester United are interested in Ayub, and have made multiple attempts to meet his representatives, even considering involving Sir Alex Ferguson to help persuade him. Arsenal and Bayern Munich are also monitoring the situation closely. We had this. Manchester United are monitoring El Hadji Malik Diouf as a potential target as they consider strengthening at left back this summer. West Ham defender has emerged on their shortlist while the club weighs up options in that position. And then following that up, Manchester United are expected to assess their left side options depending on remaining budget after strengthening the midfield. A left winger remains a possibility, but the club could instead prioritize the defensive addition. Patrick Dorgu is seen as versatile enough to operate further forward and potentially compete for a wide role. There is also a consideration to bring in a defensive player capable of challenging Luke Shaw for the left back position. And we've talked about this a few times. One, United need to make a decision. What is the plan for Dorgu? What are they going to do with Dorgu? What do they think he can do? Are they going to use him or try to use him in a left wing role? Do they think he can compete there? If that's the case, then we don't really need a left winger per se, but we are going to have to get a left back. If they aren't going to really use Dorgu as an option for a left winger, well then we probably need a left winger. So that one is interesting. They might maybe potentially split it down the middle and get a guy who is versatile enough, like how they're maybe saying that Dorgu is versatile enough to operate further forward and potentially compete for a wide role. Maybe they get somebody that is a bit similar in that they could play left wing back or left back. They could play, further up. Like they're decent enough to play in that role. So I mean, we'll see how that goes on that. Our budget is £220 million. How do you know that? Manchester United are keen on Mika Goetz, with Ajax valuing him around 75 million euros. Fee could drop if they miss European football. Manchester United are tracking Gabriel Sara, fee set at 35 million to 40 million euros, but United may bid 30 million euros as his club want 5 to 10 million more. Okay, this is coming from Telegraph. And Team Talk. Manchester United want Tyrick Mitchell as their top left wing-back target ahead of other options. Crystal Palace value him at £35 million. We also have Manchester United won't sell Lisandro Martinez and plan to extend his deal beyond 2027 with the defender key to their long-term plans. I find that interesting because I think if we're going to re-sign Lisandro Martinez, we're not going to see it until sometime at some point next season. So, and I think the reason for that is they may very well not want to sell Lisandro, and they plan to extend his deal beyond 2027. But I do think that they do have a bit of a concern about maybe the injury status. So they're not going to give him the contract now. They're going to wait a little bit longer and see how it goes and see if maybe he stays fit in the time in between. And then if it goes well, they'll offer him a new contract because he probably wants to stay. I don't think he wants to go. And I don't know, we haven't really heard of any sort of significant interest from other clubs. I'm sure there's some club out there that would like him, but I don't think he really wants to leave, so I don't think they're really too worried about him actually leaving. Axe says, I need to go to bed. Thank you for the stream, Eric. All the best, everyone. GGMU. Good night. Glazers out. Yep. Good night, bro. Glazers out. And we'll see you tomorrow if you're around. Finish up the show. Mason Greenwood is attracting top European interest with Olympique de Marseille valuing him at... what? Bro, they change... Now they put it in dollars, okay? Marseille valuing him at $82 million to $99 million. PSG, Juventus, and Atletico Madrid are all keen, while Manchester United 50% sell-on clause. So that one I've been talking about for quite some time, and I have been saying for a while. We have a 50% sell-on clause for Mason Greenwood. So he's valued very high. There are a bunch of sort of top teams interested in him. I do expect him to move. And whatever he goes for, if he goes for 80, we're getting 40. So we're getting half. So that will be good for us. But we gotta wait and see. And that one's a little bit sort of out of our hand. We gotta, we don't really have any control over when he goes, who he goes to, and how much he goes to. We just get the 50%. So now this one I thought was quite interesting, and I think this is bullshit again. A lot of the German links, a lot of the German source stories, nobody really says this, but I think that the German sources, the German stories that link Manchester United, they're all bullshit. They never pan out for us. They don't work out for us. There's never really any real substance to it, basically, most of the time. Sebastian's evening. How are you, Eric? I'm good, bro. I'm good. How are you? But we got this story saying United are showing strong interest in signing 28-year-old goalkeeper Gregor Kobel as part of their plans to strengthen depth and quality in the position. Dortmund are keen. Dortmund are reportedly open to the sale, but will demand around 55 million euros, with Kobel under contract until 2028 and no urgency to sell. If the move happens, he would compete with Sonny Lemons for the starting spot at Old Trafford. I just want to say, I think this is complete bullshit, because there is no way we are going to spend anywhere around 55 million euros for a goalkeeper when we have Sonny Lemons and he is the starting goalkeeper, and we got to go buy 3 players in the midfield, a winger, and probably a left back or some shit like that. We're not spending 55, 45, 40 million. We're not spending anything like that on a goalkeeper. There's just no way. And if we do, I would be extremely puzzled as to why, because it doesn't make sense at all. So I see this story. It's coming from Bild. Again, it's another German source. It's Borussia Dortmund again. It's bullshit. Like, we're not getting Kobel. It doesn't make sense at all. And every time we get one of these stories from Germany linking our name, literally like 4 weeks later, they sign a new contract or they go to fucking Bayern Munich or something. Like, so I saw this story and I was like, this is a load of shit. They're talking about Kobel and, you know, Dortmund would want around 55 million, but he's under contract until 28 and they have no urgency to sell. That's great. Good for you. You know, we're not involved in that, are we? Like, you have no urgency to sell and you'd want around 55 million euros. It doesn't work for us. It's not like we still have Onana. So I don't see how we can spend that amount of money. Jim Ratcliffe looking to push Manuel Ugarte and Xerxes out the door. Sebastian says I'm better now, recovering from my surgery. My bro. Yeah, that's good, man. I hope the recovery's going well, brother. I hope you're feeling better. Lemons is being so good. No way they would this what happened. Well, listen, we do need a second goalkeeper, okay? And we need, you know, a decent second option. You know, if you look at all the top teams, they have it to some degree in one way or another, okay? Like, there's Donnarumma, there's James Trafford. I mean, James Trafford is better than Binder. There is Raya, and then there's, you know, Kepa. Like, to some degree, the second goalkeeper, these top teams, they all have somebody of decency. So we do need somebody to come in, but I don't believe we're going to spend 55 million euros on a goalkeeper because Lemons is our goalkeeper and he's proved that he can have the number 1 job because he's been doing it. So I don't, there's no actual reason to say, well, we still got to go and get a number 1 goalkeeper. Because, listen, if you're spending anything around, if you're spending anywhere around 55, 50, 45, 40 million for a goalkeeper, well, that goalkeeper probably better be your number 1 starting goalkeeper. So, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense at all. It would be BS, absolute BS. Yeah, listen, I'm not worried about it. Jim Ratcliffe pushing by 3 midfielders. Well, he should. Vitek want back from loan. I mean, we could do that too. That's also another thing as well. Like, so I don't really, I don't really have a problem with that. I think that's fine, you know? And I think, listen, right now, in this case, I mean, listen, this is a season where we've played the least amount of games we've played all season, so it's a bit of a strange one. But for next season, like, dude, I'll take Lemons and I'll have Vitek. And, you know, we'll go with Lemons as starting goalkeeper. If he keeps doing what he's been doing, he gets to stay number 1. And Vitek can play FA Cup or Carabao or whatever, and he gets his opportunities there. And you go from there. And if, you know, Lemon starts shitting the bed at one point and starts making a fuck ton of mistakes, well, then, you know, it's Vitek's time to try and get a chance. And, you know, if he does well, he gets to keep it. If he doesn't, back, and you go back, get your other guy. But that way we have 2 sort of younger guys, and they can, it's healthy, they can compete, and they can grow with each other going forward. But, like, you know, we know Bienda's not the answer. Onana needs to be sold, and he can never come back, and Bienda needs to be sold as well. And, you know, we don't have room to be spending really, literally, basically any money on the goalkeeper. So I think getting Vitek would, and putting him there is probably the best move. It makes the most sense. Like, Lemons has done a good job, so I don't think it's not like we're going to panic. And then Vitek could be second, and we're okay. That's it. Like, we're good. We're all right. Sorry, Eric, I just missed the point. What exactly we're talking? Well, I'm just like there was this story saying that like Cobel, um, United are looking at Cobel, and I'm just saying I think that it's another story from Germany. It's another like Dortmund player in the Bundesliga with Manchester United's name linked to it, and every time one of these stories comes about, it's usually bullshit. We're not seriously linked to them. We never were. We weren't looking to ever do a deal, and they either end up signing a new deal or they go to Bayern Munich. So I think this is one of these stories. Like it's not factual. We're not going to spend 55 million on a goalkeeper. We literally can't afford to do such a thing. We're already struggling to fill in the other pieces of our team. We need to buy, like me and Lucky are saying, we need 3 midfielders. Where are you spending 55 million euros for a goalkeeper? It's not fucking happening. So, I'm getting tired of the fake stories from the Bundesliga, and they're bullshit because okay, they did it with Schlotterbeck, they did it with a couple other players. Adeyemi is another one. Like I don't believe any of these players United are looking to bring in at all. I think there's one player, his name is Angelo Stiller, and he's not even at the forefront of the list. He's like sort of lower down tier. If like shit goes sideways and we can't get certain targets that we would like, we'll go for Angelo Stiller later on. um we did get this from Ebola, by the way. Manchester United are reportedly in pole position to sign Morten Himland from Sporting CB. Although his release clause is set around 80 million euros, Sporting could be willing to negotiate a deal in the region of 40 to 50 million euros due to a gentleman's agreement with the player. I would just say, listen, we've been here before with the gentleman's agreement bullshit. And I don't, listen, I don't, knowing a Sporting fan and knowing Sporting the way they are, I don't believe in that. Number one, this coming from a baller, so you got to take that with a grain of salt because they're full of shit, a lot. So I don't even believe this, and I don't even think we're looking at him. And listen, he has a release clause. There is no way, I can tell you this now. There is no way Sporting is going to allow him to go for 40 to 50 million when he has a release clause of 80. So, if there's genuine interest in him, they're going to demand the release clause, and that's it. So, again, I think this is one of these stories. Quite bullshit. A ball is not a great source. It's like the sun of Portugal, pretty much. It's the Portuguese sun. So, don't pay that shit any attention. If it starts getting pushed from other places later on, Fabrizio, Laurie Whitwell, etc., then sure, we'll give it the proper attention that it deserves, but not this story. Now, Andy Minton said this on Carrick. He said, "You must remember, this isn't even Carrick's team. I'm told he's not even playing the type of football he wants to play. He's using the players to the best of their ability." I mean, I sort of kind of do believe that a little bit. I do think, again, there's probably a further evolution for the football that Carrick would like the team to play. I think he obviously didn't have a whole lot of time to implement it in that way. Like, yes, we're not playing a lot, so there is a lot of time to do in the training ground. But when he came in, there wasn't really a whole lot of time to work on that. It was a short turnaround, had to play Arsenal, then had to play City, and sort of was going with the ball, rolling with the ball. Plus, also, I do think that there's a bit of an aspect there. That's what many of us have been saying. He's gone back to the basics, or he's got the basics. He's got the team back to doing the basics. Okay, he's got the team back to stabilization, and he has set them up in a way that is probably best to their ability, which is why things, results and stuff have changed. But I don't think he's been able to put maybe the full imprint of what he wants on the team because he doesn't have all the pieces. So I do think there's an element of that. But it will be interesting because supposedly he's been involved in some of the discussions for summer targets. Even though he hasn't actually been made the permanent manager, he has been involved or reportedly been involved in some of these discussions. So it'll be quite interesting if or when he is confirmed as the full-time manager. And to see what kind of guys we get, and then to see what he can do with the new additions and the team, and see how the team sort of transforms in their play going forward. Because technically, I mean, this really isn't his team in terms of like no player has been bought for him, so he's just sort of taken over a team and has managed the situation. But if he stays here and we move forward with him, once they start, buying players that works well with him and works well with the club in general, then it's going to be interesting to see how the style of play evolves. We're not there yet, so. Carrick is better using armor in his players, but that is a good thing. I know these relaxed. Yeah. Apparently, Barcelona are considering alternative targets if they cannot reach an agreement with Manchester United over Marcus Rashford. That's coming from Fabrizio. And then we had these couple updates about Iraola again. United have sounded out Andoni Iraola, but Michael Carrick remains the favorite for the permanent head coach role after taking the side close to Champions League qualification. That's coming from the Times Sport. Times Sport also saying Michael Carrick has emerged as the favorite for the permanent Manchester United head coach job. Other potential candidates such as Andoni Iraola have been sounded out by Manchester United, which again I think is totally plausible. Like, I do think that Carrick right now, as it stands, he is in the pole position, and stands probably most likely to get the job. Doesn't mean that nobody else is being considered. They have to consider other people, and ultimately they when the season ends, whatever, unless they already did the process and they're just holding out. But if they didn't do the process, they're gonna have to do the process. It's a formality anyway. Like, they're gonna have to go through the whole thing, so they can't just like be like, yeah, it's Carrick, it's always Carrick. Like, they have to assess everything and then make the call that they want to make. But I think with the way that he's gone about things, I do think that he is in a pole position. But being in pole position doesn't always mean that it makes you the favorite, but sometimes there's an upset. Shit does happen. So, I probably say, like, I feel like I'm 85% sure Carrick will get the job, but there is, 15% that something else can happen. So, Kobe doing a little bit of a presser. Of course, we signed him to a new contract, which is good. Long overdue, deserved. I'm happy that, we could put this shit behind us. We don't have to worry about his future. He doesn't have to worry about his future. He's happy to be here. We're happy to have him. He's been playing really well, and he's been really good since coming back into the side, under Michael Carrick. And, I like him a lot. So I'm happy for him. And, we could all finally just move on. He can continue to develop his game. His future is with us. Our future is with him. And, we don't have to talk about this shit anymore. There's no stories of him leaving anymore. There's no stories of the contract and this and that and the wages and all this shit. All that is now behind us, and he's here with us, and now we can just go back to being normal. For a time being. I mean, because there's never really any normal at United, but for a little bit of time, it could be a little bit quiet. Indy Kyla, the worst source ever, said Manchester United have submitted an opening bid for Elliot Anderson. Sure we have. I don't believe that at all. It's I would say the only time I'll be 100%, that's 100% fake news. That motherfucker is that motherfucker is a cancer to this shit, bro. And this is what I'm saying. Like bro, they put this out, okay? Like, let me just point this out. They put this out, and they said, on good authority, we have been told that Manchester United have submitted an opening bid for Elliot Anderson. We have no further information on the figure or whether the bid has been rejected, Elliot Anderson. Oh, number one, that's convenient. Okay. And then number two, you go into the comments, and there's just people like, they've submitted a bid without even agreeing personal terms. I know you're talking absolute waffle, but I'll believe you just because I'm bored. And this is the thing, like, these people, like, bro, I wish I can, like, just grab all these people that follow this account or, like, feel the need to reply on this account and just tell them, bro, don't reply. They want you to reply. Bro, these guys put out the most bullshit story. I could write that fucking story. Somebody in our chat could write that story. There's no... and it never pans out because they're full of shit. It's fake. They, on good authority, they've been told United have submitted an opening bid. So we skipped the part of personal terms agreement, and also they have no further information on the figure or whether the bid has been rejected. They have no information on that. That's fucking convenient. And they do this because they got 3.4 thousand likes, 401 reposts, and 278 comments. The post has 225,000 views. Okay, they're getting paid. They're making money for that. You get 225,000 views with a blue check mark. You're getting paid per month by Twitter. So this is the thing. Like, these people, like, nobody even believes these guys, but they continue to interact with the account. You know, our aggregators, at least this one, I don't know about the other ones, but I see a lot of them. The aggregators are a fucking disgrace because they keep posting this guy's shit. And I don't understand why. Like, the aggregators tend to do a decently good job with the aggregating, but, like, they shouldn't aggregate this guy's news because it's every single piece of news that they put out is fucking fake. It's literally made up. They don't have sources. They don't have inside information. They're full of shit. They are 110% full of shit. Good night, everyone. Almost 2 a.m. here. I will go now. See ya. Yep. I'll see ya. Yeah, so, I mean, I think our chat and our community is more intelligent than to get excited about a fake Elliot Anderson story. But if anybody out there sees that, don't get excited. Those people are full of shit. It's not true. You know, if Fabrizio or Laurie Whitwell or, you know, somebody else wants to come out and confirm that tomorrow, later on, or whatever, then, you know, fine. But listen, I'm telling you, those guys, there's no way they're getting an exclusive before Fabrizio or Laurie Whitwell or somebody like that. There's no way they would get, there's no way they're going to get that sort of an exclusive, that type of story, that if United actually made a bid for Elliot Anderson, they're going to get it before those guys. It's not happening. It's not happening. Not happening. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But listen, we do got to get out of here because I do got to go. Okay, so we'll be back live tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. UK. Thank you, everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you, everybody that supports the channel. Thank you, everybody that got involved in the chat. Special shout out to Lyle. Came through massive again with the I think he gave us 10 gifted subs. Okay, today. Let's see. He's 4 months RDE VIP section member. He's got the blue badge next to his name. He's got the blue RDE badge next to his name. And he gifted 10 RDE memberships today. So big shout out to Lyle. Shout out to my guy, top guy. Shout out to the rest of you as well. Supporting the channel, getting involved in the comments. Lucky, Sebastian, Axe, and Natasha, Simon, and all the rest of you, Hasib, and I Get Up, Temizgin, Man Utd Keys, Renoso, Brown Knight. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to the ones that were watching in the background that I can't see your names, but shout out to you guys. Appreciate every single one of you. Hope everybody has a good night. Stay safe. Be good, and we'll be back live tomorrow. Friday stream, chill day. We'll talk about some stuff. We'll also get ready because obviously the match versus Liverpool is coming up in 2 days, so we'll talk about that. And we'll have a bit of a focus on that. But other than that, everybody have a good night or early morning, whatever it is. Good morning. Stay safe, be good, and we'll see each other tomorrow. All right, take care.